I told you this a couple of weeks ago when we started this. When I have the opportunity to call out a team that I feel like I'm not going to have many opportunities the rest of the year, I'm doing it. So a couple weeks ago, I did Charlotte, right? They had those fun wins, and LaMelo was cracking. May not get this opportunity again, but I have got to call out the Portland Trailblazers.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, so let me just say, they got mashed by 25 like last weekend against Minnesota. And then on Sunday night, I watch a Memphis-Portland game where I don't know if I have been as appalled by a basketball team as I was the Portland Trailblazers.
I thought we were celebrating them.
The final score, it's all going to make sense.
Okay.
You got to weave it. You got to weave it.
Storytelling.
You got to weave the story.
Storytelling.
Okay. 134-89, and the crowd is all on its feet cheering Yuki Kawamura at the end of the game on the road. And I'm like, watching this game, I said to my buddies, I said, DeAndre Ayton might as well have had AirPods in. He's just jogging up and down the floor. Like, I don't understand. What is the point of this? This is ridiculous. And they got beat 134-89. So they get beat by 25. And this is like the coach chewed you out. Go to the game film. Let's get back. Come on. Let's get right. And then they go and lose by 50. It's like, hold on. So now you turn around. They're going to play against Minnesota. It's the quest for the cup. The Emirates Cup.
MB Cup. Yep.
Yeah. A team that had just beaten them by 25. After they had lost 25 and 50 back-to-back, they look like they just, like, I'm like, why don't they just forfeit the rest of the season? They come out, mash the Minnesota Timberwolves, and have 14 steals, 7 blocks. They get Avdia going off. They got Tumani Kamara going off. They got all these guys that it looks like nothing like the team I had just watched. I just watched them. And do a complete 180. Time Lord comes off the bench. Time Lord goes crazy.
He looked great.
19, 9, 3 assists, 3 blocks, 3 steals. Just this crazy stat line.
Wasn't he like 7 for 8 or 8 for 9 or something from the field?
Yeah, for Time Lord. Then, fast forward, now it's, okay, go back, watch the film. You know, you're playing the same team. This is a lot like we get into playoff matchups because we get a lot of these back-to-backs against the same team.
Same gym, same team.
They do it again, except this time it's Klingon who gets his opportunity. And now let's go back in time when I told you on Sunday, DeAndre Ayton might as well have had his AirPods in. So what is the common theme here? Now, this two-headed monster of Time Lord and Klingon looks like the greatest center rotation in the NBA. And by the way, it's not like they're playing against nobody. They're playing against Gobert and Naz Reid.
Mm-hmm.
And so, look, they got to get Ayton out of there on the first thing smoking. I don't know if they have any. He may have no trade value whatsoever. But to get Time Lord back, cracking like he was, and then your top 10 pick, get his opportunity. He had 8 blocks in the game. Just you watch the Klingon highlights and you're like, oh, watch out now. Now this is a direct hit because look, that is not a one-game thing. I would encourage anybody to go back and watch it. That Klingon thing is real.
Oh yeah,
and he is a force in the paint. And so all the while, you've got Shaedon Sharpe dropping 30 plus in their game. Like it's just everything. I cannot imagine how miserable you must have been for the first couple of weeks of the season if you are a Portland fan. It's like, geez Louise, because one of the things is if you know you're not going to have a really good team, you want real hope for the future. It's like, all right, which of these, and it's like Scoot struggling, Klingon's not playing. Shaden Sharp is like kind of out there by himself, but then he's out there with like some of these other vets and whatever. And then you get these moments, and I think you walk away and go, hey, Scoot kind of came along. Klingon looks like a hit. Rob's playing really well, so if nothing else, he'll end up having trade value. And Shaden Sharp looks like a guy that can go get me buckets on a regular basis. Now I'm starting to see what I could identify as a core and build out around rather than just, being in the wilderness somewhere. And so I got to give them credit, man. That's 2 really good wins, especially after they had played, such inspired basketball. I give them credit. They got back on it and certainly became infinitely more hopeful than they had at any point in the season thus far.
Yeah, I think if you look at that team, you're like, Anthony Simons, Jeremy Grant. But that's not the story. The story is the young core. It's Sharp, Scoot, Klingon. You know what I mean? Like you can see, like, oh, look, we've got pieces here. We've got pieces that we can build around and get complementary players to this future core. In 2 years down the road, will be a playoff team or a tough out. And if you were to watch that game and say the defensive player of the year is in this game, you would not identify Rudy Gobert. No. You would be like, oh, it's Klingon. It's the white guy. You'd be like, that tall white guy in the middle. He's the best defender in the league, obviously. He had himself an absolute game against Rudy Gobert. On both sides. It wasn't just defense.
Yeah.
He was great. He looked really, really good. And we'll have more on him later. We're going to the team that I love this week. And we were both high on this team in our preseason projections. And of all the players that looked like they were going to make a real leap this season, they had the one, Paolo Banchero. And then Banchero gets injured. And they just looked absolutely lost without Banchero. Like, they looked lost. However, your Orlando Magic have kind of put it together lately. 4-game win streak, okay? Albeit against the Pels, Wizards, Hornets, and Pacers, fine. But good teams beat bad teams. We've seen it all year long. Upsets happen all the time. And when you're missing your star player and you've got a 4-game win streak and you're handling business the way you're supposed to, it's really impressive. And Franz Wagner had 29 against the Pacers, 32 against the Hornets. I'm not going to say he's an efficient scorer, but with no Paolo, someone has to stir the drink. Someone's got to get by their man. Someone's got to create. Someone's got to play make. And he's taken on that role, and he's done well. And one thing I did not see coming, I did not see this coming. They're second in defensive rating right now.
Yeah.
In the entire league.
That's how they're doing it. I mean, holding that Pacers team to 90 is a big feat.
Yeah.
That is a big feat. And you think about it, to your point, that's supposed to be one of your peers, the Pacers, that they just got that last win again, 94-90. Look, you're going to be able to win a lot of games if you can hold somebody to 90. Their starting lineup was Franz Wagner, Gogo Bitadze, KCP, Suggs, and Tristan Da Silva.
Yeah.
And their starting backcourt of Suggs and Da Silva went a combined 3 for 21. Their star that's playing for them now, Wagner, was 9 for 24. I mean, so you're talking about that's 12 shots, 12 field goals made.
Verno.
12 of 48. I mean, that is, if there has ever been a, like, defense will keep us in games, this is the team.
Keep you in games. It's winning them games. Verno.
Unbelievable.
Verno, do you know how many teams shoot worse than them from 3? None.
Yeah.
They're worst in the league. They're the worst shooting team in the league. KCP was supposed to help fix that. That has not happened thus far. It's early in the season. You know what I mean? I think people always sort of regress to the mean over time, so I expect that to change. But when you look at this team and say, we lost our star, not just our star, like the hub of our offense, the sun that the other planets revolve around offensively, they lose him, and they're the worst 3-point shooting team in the league, and they're third in the Eastern Conference right now. That's the team I love this week. It's the defense that they're playing. because it's not even like Wagner's playing that well. He's really not. He's scoring points, but it's not efficient.
Well, and there's a couple of these teams that have this weird, like, they'll bring two guys off of the bench, and it has this impact where, like, so if you're watching Houston, they'll go to the bench and they'll bring off
Eason.
Yeah, they'll bring off Eason, they'll bring off Thompson, and you're like, whoa, now this thing just got active.
Do you know who the guy is for the Magic?
It's Black and also Isaac.
Yes.
Who are both defensive guys. They're both enormous.
If you look at the box score, they're not like impacting the game and the counting stats. It's just they'll just your day up.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like they'll just ruin your plans. They're bad weather. They ruin your plans.
Right. One of them's point of attack, and then the other one, if you happen to get to the basket, now you got another one that cleans it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's mega impressive, and for them to be able to do it, you got to find ways. And for them to alter, they were obviously a very good defensive team last year, but they've just got a bunch of guys that can guard you. I mean, between Suggs, KCP, and Black, it is hard to get past them.
There's two of those guys in the game at all times.
And you know what's weird? I mean, I don't know what happened to Cole Anthony, but he's just out of the mix. Not only is he out of the mix, he's just, the shooting numbers, it's just like, it's like they have just evolved into this. He was kind of like that, little heater off the bench, and certainly had some real good moments for them last year. And could be a change of pace guy, but their change of pace now is them coming in and strangling you out more defensively. It's crazy.
So there's some rumors swirling on the interwebs about a potential Zach LaVine trade for the Magic. Right? Some picks, some players. They wouldn't lose much bringing Zach LaVine. Certainly helps without Banchero. Do you think that's a good idea, or do you think that is sort of like could be a chemistry killer?
I guess it just depends on where LaVine is in his career, and kind of if he's. I think there's a lot of guys that grow and then they're like, you know what, I'm ready to go be a part of winning.
Yeah,
we saw it with Wiggins. He was able to assimilate. He's a guy that was putting up big numbers on bad teams, and then he was able to assimilate. And look, you still want the ball in Banchero and Franz's hands a lot. A lot of those guys can play make too, but I don't hate it.
It would. I'm looking at just a mock trade from the internet. It says Anthony Isaac De Silva, first round pick for LaVine. I would do that. You're gonna miss Isaac though.
Right.
They need scoring. They need shooting. You're not going
They gotta have somebody.
You're not going to really contend if you have the worst 3-point shooting in the league in the NBA.
The numbers just aren't going to go in your favor, right? I agree with you.